Hi everyone, welcome to Homeschool Autism Life. I hope you're having a wonderful day. It is a snowy November here, but I figured we're going to talk about elopement. The scary, frightening, freak out, give your mother a heart attack, freak out that elopement induces. So in the 11 years, I think I've mentioned this before, in the 11 years that Darien's been alive, he's done it to us about 7 or 8 times. Now, I haven't specifically counted out, I didn't write down when this happened or whatever, but Darien has trained us very well. We have had it happen often enough to just be wary of it at all times. And the last one that he did has been almost 2-3 years, and yet we still are very much on high alert. He does like to have his space now. He's 11, and so he doesn't like me holding and clutching onto him like I used to, which has been such a transition for me to go, okay, I can't see him in my direct line of sight, but to know that he's most likely okay. It has been a process. So let's rewind a little bit, and I will just tell you 2 of the times in which he has tried to put his mother in an early grave or early gray hair or something like that. When he was quite young, we didn't have tons of issues with eloping. He wasn't like some children who are just like constantly gone. Every time Darien has done it, he's done it for a very specific reason, which is ultra logical to him, but just not safe. Just not safe. He didn't necessarily have the words to tell us what was going on or what was in his mind or what he was thinking about. And so, you just sit there and suddenly he's gone and you're like, oh my goodness, where did he go? What was he doing? So the first big one that really prompted us to get a tracker on him, which I'll explain later as to why I kind of wonder whether they're worth it. I'm like, I would much rather have some sort of shot where they put a GPS thing on him, because invariably he had it when he was going to school and that sort of thing, because he wasn't in my direct care, but it never, I told you I was going to tell you about this later, but apparently I'm telling you now. It was never on his person when it needed to be on his person. We had to charge the battery, we had to deal, and this was quite a few years ago. So he's 11 now. We got it when he was about 6. So yeah, about 5 years ago. They weren't super reliable all the time, but it gave us just a little bit of, if he takes off at school, then, hopefully that's the day the tracker system works and we can find him. So it might be significantly better now. We have not looked into it because, yeah, fingers crossed he doesn't do it again. But the first time that really was the impetus for us getting a tracker was we had a birthday party at one of the biggest malls in North America at the time. I don't know if it's still the biggest mall in North America, but it was at the time. And in one of the bigger cities, and in the middle of it they actually have it's at West Edmonton Mall in Edmonton. So they've got a big pirate ship that they do birthday parties on and stuff like that, and they have lots of water, they have animals that's swimming around and that sort of thing. They have boats or little tubes that you can go bouncing around, like bumper cars, but just in the water. Yeah, lots of hazards. Lots of hazards. And it's a huge, vast place, and all of the scary things that you as a parent go, yeah, you guys all stay close. But this birthday party was like you know, for very young kids. So Darien was the oldest, and he was about 6, I want to say. And so we're all standing around waiting for this birthday party to come, and for whatever reason, I think it was the staff, one of the birthday parties had gone on too long, or I don't know, but you're trying to keep all these younger kids. He might have been younger, actually, because Sienna was like maybe a year old. So yeah, he might have been like 4 or 5. Anyway, so we were trying to keep them all entertained and stuff like that. So we had gone on this place where there's like a bridge. So it was one entrance, one exit, like there was no way. And then we're with family, so there's lots and lots of people around to try and, you know, corral the kids. And we've got them all in this area. And Darien, what he would usually do is he would go find a spot to hide just by himself. And so he was sitting behind one of the uncles in this spot. So I couldn't directly see him, but I'm like, okay, he's behind Uncle so-and-so. And I'm dealing with the girls, because here's the funny thing about elopement is you feel, when this happens, you feel like the worst parent in the entire world. You have lost your child, you don't know where your child is, you're freaked right out of your mind, you're trying to figure out, because he at that point wasn't, you know, even now, if you asked him what his name is, he'd just blink at you and go, haha, you think I'm going to answer you, but I'm not a performing monkey. So even if he did articulate that he was lost or whatever, there would be no way for people to get information to try and help reunite you. And so it just like up to here. But here's the thing, folks. If you find yourself in that place, you cannot 100% of the time maintain eyes on your child. It's not possible. If you have other children, it's definitely not possible, because you need to deal with your other kids' needs as well. So that's kind of what happened. People were giving the kids cereal bars because the kids were starting to get hungry and antsy and whatever. And so I was taking care of Sienna and Nara's cereal bars. I was opening them, and I stand up, and the uncle had moved. And so I'm like, oh, and I went to go around the corner to see him, and he wasn't there. And what he had done essentially was that uncle got up, and Darien got up with him, and then he just kept walking. And he saw essentially the food that was on offer, cereal bars, no go for him. And he did what he does at home. I offer him something, and he goes, no, I don't want that. He doesn't say that, but it's clear. And then he goes and gets what he actually does want to eat. And that's what happened in West Edmonton Mall. He decided that he wanted the curly fries that he had seen when we walked past the food court. And so I stayed with the girls, freaking out completely. And when I say completely, like, I wasn't losing my mind as far as, you know, my composure. I was crying and going, Lord, 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 please, please, please bring him back. Help my husband and or the uncle and the dad to find him. But yeah, no, I was like, you know, I wasn't losing it like that, but, but still losing it. And what Colin, my husband, actually said, he was like, I almost didn't see him. He just saw this blonde hair standing next to some people, and he wasn't freaking out. He was like, he knew exactly where he was. He's like, I'm getting fries. And he probably would have been able to find his way back, or maybe not. We don't know. But yeah, one of the scariest moments of my life, to be sure. And then we get him back, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And you're trying to like come down and then enjoy this birthday party, which all by itself was hilarious. Because one of the points in the birthday party, they kind of took us in the bowels of the mall, was to feed the little sharks. Now I know they probably wouldn't eat my children if they fell in, but essentially we walked up this like really narrow staircase, held by a chain, and I've got like death grips on all of my children so that they don't, because if you know a lot about certainly for my autistic child, water is a wonderful thing and should be enjoyed with relish. And I was like, you are not climbing into this with this turtle and these sharks, and like, no, 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 no. And we're feeding them leaves and stuff like that. Hilarious. All of these little children. So Darien was 4 or 5, and Nara would have been 3 or 4, and Sienna was a year old. Like, completely crazy. But we managed to get through, and then we're driving home, and we're like, that can never, ever, ever happen again. Ever. Ever, ever. It did. Just so you know. It did. So fast forward to the very last time that he has done this. Usually when he takes off, at home, if he's at home, it's to go to the candy store or the corner store that has like the 5-cent candies in it. Colin has actually found him just munching away. And yeah, so the issue was with the last time was it was literally a week after we had had a tornado come through, and it didn't wreck our town or whatever. It was okay. It wrecked some farm buildings and took the roof off of someone's house just outside of town. But when there's a twister, you can't tell how far, how close it is. I live in a trailer park, which I don't know about you guys, but you know, they're pretty much like magnets for twisters, I think. And so it had gone through and we were safe and everything was fine, but Darien had a huge fascination afterwards, because the scariest part for our kids was we were like, get in the car, get in the van, get in the van, and we're driving away and the girls are like, wait, we don't have our seatbelts on. We're like, it doesn't even matter. And that freaked them out more because they didn't actually see the weather. Colin and I saw the weather, but our kids didn't, and so we had to explain why we were doing what we were doing. So Darien liked watching this video of this twister that somebody else in town had actually taken like a time-lapse video and actually had strung it together. So he had been watching this for about a week, and then we had another storm, summer storms happen here, and it was like pouring, like it wasn't pouring quite yet, but essentially the weather was bad, and I was calming our puppy that was outside. The girls were already in bed, and Darien was just waiting for me to put him to bed, but the storm had blown up, and I was blown up. The storm had blown in, excuse me, not up, in, and I was trying to take care of the plants outside and all of that kind of stuff. My husband got in the van and went to fill it up in case we needed to leave, because we're not gonna sit through a twister in our trailer. Like, no thank you. No thank you. So that's where he had gone. And so I took care of everything. I brought the puppy in and I went looking for Darien. Now at that point in time, he was kind of taking, like he was finding little hidey holes. And so then you would call him and he wouldn't answer. And so you'd eventually find him. So I spent a good 5 to 10 minutes looking, like calling his name and looking for all of where the hiding places were. He was not there. And so then I start getting really, really nervous because I know he likes storms and rain and lightning and thunder. And by this time it was pouring outside. Huge lightning, huge claps of thunder, the whole 9 yards. And now I keep telling myself, now that I've got this plan, I'm like, the first thing you do if you even think that Darien has eloped is you go outside and you look down the street because I'm pretty sure he wasn't gone that far because of where my husband found him. But I spent so much time looking for him. So we had talked about facilitated communication before, and Darien was writing. If you haven't watched those videos, I will link them down below. But he was writing with me holding his elbow at that point in time. And so I start, like, after this whole incident, I asked him some pointed questions. But essentially, I started knocking on my neighbors' doors and saying, my son is gone. I need help to find him. I phoned Colin and he said, he's not here. I don't know where he is. I am yelling, trying to I'm trying to yell over lightning and thunder and pouring rain. Anyway, my husband goes, okay, and he drops whatever he was doing and starts coming back towards home. And he found him between the corner store, and that the issue for me was I didn't know which way he was going to go, because the Twister was that away and the store is that away. It was the first time that I was like, I don't actually know which way to go, this way or this way. Still, candy wins over storms, apparently. So this whole thing was when I got him back and we put him to bed and whatever, his reason for taking off was because I had not given him his dessert after supper. I had forgotten, or I had not gotten to it yet, and he couldn't find me. He couldn't find his dad, and so he's like, okay, I'll go get it myself. Oh. I'm like, in the letter that I wrote, and we're writing back and forth, I'm like, Mommy and Daddy will never leave you at home alone. I was just outside in the yard, and I was coming back in with the puppy dog. Like, I was not anywhere. But then I said, okay, you know what? I understand why you were going. And then I said, why were you scared? And he goes, well, kind of, because I didn't have my shoes or boots. Yes, this child went out in a rainstorm with no jacket, no boots. He was on a mission to go get dessert. And I said, well, why didn't you come back and get them? And he goes, I was already wet, was what he wrote. I was already wet. And I love my son and his ultra logic, but at the same time I'm like, oh. So thankfully that has been thus far the last time that he has eloped on us. I am hoping and praying that this is a stage that he has outgrown. I've talked to him a few times, just saying it's really important that you stay with Mommy, because Mommy can take care of you and protect you from things that you don't even know about. And I think that now that we have, through the Sunrise program, the ability to talk to him and not just at him, things are more retained, and he has been able to understand a little bit more completely. But, you know, we're still up here as far as alerts. We try our best, but if you have a child who elopes on you, I understand. I really do. I am sorry for your heart attacks. I am sorry for the fear that you are currently in. Or, you know, the times that you've actually had to fear. Please do not, do what you can to minimize the dangers. Do what you can to take care of your child, but also try to be forgiving on yourself as parents. There is only so much that we can do. You know, we joke about having eyes in the back of our heads, at least my mom did, but they didn't grow in yet for me. So I really want to encourage you with these stories that I've dealt with it. We've done what we could. We've done the best that we can. And I have hope in what the Sunrise or the Sunrise program has been able to do to help him understand why he needs to stay with mom and dad and why it's important. And I just hope and pray for your little ones and your situation that you will get there too. Yeah. I hope that is encouraging and a blessing to you all. And please tell me your stories down in the comments below. I would love to hear, yeah, the safe, happy endings. Because that's what, at the end of the day, it comes down to, when they're home safe and sound. And you can then do whatever you need to take care of it, but also please, please, please don't beat yourself up. And that's it for today, folks. I hope you have a wonderful week this week, and we will see you next time. Thanks.